What if there was a better way to view our finances? What if the story that culture's been telling us all along about money was false? And what if I told you that God has something better? Welcome to Realign. John D. Rockefeller is known to be one of the wealthiest men in the history of the world. He was the very first oil baron, and his net worth exceeded $340 billion. Just to put that into context, if you were to combine the net worth of the top 6 wealthiest people currently in the world today, their net worth wouldn't exceed Rockefeller's. He had a ton of cash. But during his lifetime, someone asked him a simple question that we've all probably asked ourselves. How much is enough? His reply was this: just a little bit more. He had more money than anyone in the history of the world, but he was still not satisfied. In the very same vein, Adam and Eve had everything that God had provided for them, but they still were discontent. In the beginning of Genesis, we see where God had created 2 types of trees. The first tree was described as being pleasing to the eye and good for food. God said that they could eat of all of it. The second tree was very similar, but this tree was described as being pleasing to the eye, good for food, and also desirable for gaining wisdom. To Eve, it seemed as though this tree had a little bit more. And this little bit more is called discontentment. And it's ultimately what got her into trouble, and it's what continues to get us into trouble today.
I had just recently graduated college and moved to Houston. I accepted an internship at a professional theater company. So imagine me driving down Westheimer in the Galleria district in my 1988 Toyota Camry with no air conditioning, surrounded by Mercedes and BMWs. So probably from day one, this desire to have things I did not have was creeping in, just looking around me at what I did not have. So this was my first job out of college, actually using my degree, and I was very excited about that, but making so little was really hard to just pay rent and have bills paid. There wasn't much left for anything else, but there was definitely that materialistic thing that attached to me just being in that city and specifically in that neighborhood. I remember the very first credit card I got. I remember distinctly my mother saying, "Do you really think you need a credit card?" And me thinking, "Oh yeah, it'll be fine, I'll pay it off, no big deal." I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to budget. I didn't know how to balance my checkbook. So it started with one credit card, and then it went to every department store and all my favorite stores in the mall, to where I probably had 12 to 14 different stores' cards, and ended up at almost $10,000 worth of credit card debt for no reason other than I wanted to buy things and fill that whatever need to look like everybody else and have a new dress for that event or whatever, instead of being okay with what I had. There's a sense of always wanting more, that you're not ever good enough, and there's always something else, whether it's a new sofa for your living room or some kind of decor for the bathroom or clothes. It's that same feeling I assume that an addict feels, of like there's never enough. Like you have to keep buying more because it won't sustain you in the long run. The switch in my heart came over time. There wasn't a one moment, all of a sudden, I'm content. It took a lot of time and consistently choosing to not spend money that I did not have, or to wait until I had money to purchase something. And it took time seeing other people live simply and hear stories of people getting out of debt, and seeing people live and be full of joy and life without having to have everything that the world says we have to be happy. So in my journey of getting out of debt, I was given anonymously over $3,200 cash right near the end of my journey of getting my $10,000 in credit card debt paid off, and just got me over that last hurdle. And the Lord had really been speaking to me about making a stone of remembrance, to not forget the things that the Lord had done, because I didn't want to ever go back there either. And so we had a big party and a worship time and a celebration, and a friend of mine gave me a stone, and my aunt gave us a Hebrew word for Ebenezer, and we had it engraved on the stone and had a big party and celebrated what God had done.
Whether we have a little or whether we have a lot, we can all be discontent. Discontentment is the constant drive for something more, and it keeps us on the rat wheel of trying to find our satisfaction in stuff. But we can be content as we find life and peace in what God has for us. A simple definition of contentment is being joyfully satisfied with the place and the provision that God has us. But as we probably all know, it's not easy to be content. The Apostle Paul actually said that he had to learn the secret of contentment. We have to do the same thing in our lives in order to stay focused. But the question then becomes, how do we choose contentment on a daily basis?
Contentment for me has been one of the hardest but sweetest journeys I've been on with the Lord. My 30+ years of life, I've been through many seasons. Seasons where I had plenty and seasons where I had no idea how we were going to make it through the month. But in every season, I've had to choose contentment. Several Christmases ago, Josh and I were spending Christmas morning with my parents. Let me preface this story by saying that my parents are extravagant givers. They always have been, but this Christmas was different. It was over the top and it will never happen again, but we will always remember it. So that Christmas morning, we're opening up our presents that were under the tree, and my little brother goes first. He opens up his big gift, and it is a beautiful guitar. But it isn't just any guitar. My dad went to the guitar store and he played every guitar in that store until he found the one that had the most beautiful sound. And that is the one he got for my brother. My brother felt so known and so loved by that gift. Next, it was Josh's turn. So he opens up his big gift, and it's a big flat screen TV. It is the perfect man gift for my husband. He loved it. Next, it was my turn, and I get this beautiful piece of furniture. That probably sounds lame to a lot of you guys, but as a new wife, it meant so much to me. I had a house full of just old, ratty furniture, and now I have a piece of furniture that I can love and be proud of. I felt so known by this gift. My dad and my mom worked really hard to get us presents that they knew would bless each of us individually, and we felt so known and loved. Next, it was my sister's turn. So my sister opens up her present, and it's this purse. She acted so excited, she felt so loved by this purse, but then she looks down and there's keys hanging off of her purse. She looks at my dad and she looks at my mom and she says, "Did I get a car? Did I just get a car?" And she starts weeping. My dad's weeping, my mom's weeping. Me and Josh, we were all a puddle on the floor. We were overwhelmed by the fact that my sister had just got this brand new car, because we all knew my sister's story. She had been in a horrible accident that left her with 15 fractures in her face and a bleed in her brain, and had spent years in recovery. Because my sister had been sick for 2 years, she accumulated a mountain of medical bills that only added to the student loan debt she already had. Plus, she'd been driving around a car that she had since high school that was constantly breaking down. So we all knew what it meant for her to have a new car. Later that day, Josh and I were driving around, still talking about how great that Christmas morning had been. I remember Josh looks over at me and he asks me this question, and he says, "Jenny, does it bother you that your sister got a car and you didn't?" And I remember feeling sick to my stomach. How could he ask me such a stupid question? Of course it doesn't bother me that my sister got a car and I didn't, because I know my dad's heart, and I know the journey my sister had been on, and I know that we all just got these extravagant gifts that were perfect for us. I felt right in that moment God speak to my heart, and he said, "Jenny, you remember this moment. Remember this moment, because there will come a day that your best friend is building her dream house, and if you set your focus on that house and not on me and what I'm doing before you, you will completely miss every extravagant blessing I am pouring on you right now. Don't forget this moment, because somebody else is going to get the job, somebody else is going to get the promotion, and if you set your focus on somebody else's lot, you're going to completely miss every way I am extravagantly pouring out my blessing on you. Don't forget this moment. Do I still have to choose contentment? Yes. It is a choice and it is a discipline. 1 Thessalonians 5:18 says, "Be thankful in every circumstance, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." It says, be thankful. It's a choice. You have to choose it, because guess what? 90% of the time, you are not going to feel thankful. It is a choice. It is a life discipline that I guarantee you, if you learn it, you will experience freedom like never before.